Hi folks, and welcome to Greg's Golf Shack. Golf season is approaching, people are getting itchy to play, and a lot of folks are out there buying clubs and trying to figure out how they might arrange their golf bags for the upcoming season. So I'm going to demonstrate a couple different configurations so you can have a little bit more information when you consider what clubs to put in your bag. Now, a lot of us like to have a stock 14 club selection that we like to keep all year round, but it's kind of important to note that if you play different courses, or even if you're playing in different conditions, like if it's windy or something like that, having a few options of clubs you can swap out can make a bit of a difference. I've also updated my space a little bit with a couple of custom paintings by my wife. Let me know what you think in the comments. First things first, we're going to need a putter. So each bag is going to get a putter because that is a necessary component to our game. These are smaller carry bags. I'm going to have a hard time jamming 14 clubs in there, but you get the idea. But also, just because the rules say we can have 14 clubs in the bag, we don't have to. We can have less. And I actually recommend going out there sometime with about 8 clubs that kind of span the spectrum of the golf bag and see how well you do. Next up, we're going with driver. Now, some people might not feel comfortable with the driver. They might like to hit their 3-wood off the tee or something, which is fine. But I highly recommend getting used to a driver, working on it if you're one of those folks, because effectively hitting your driver and having shorter approaches into the greens is going to really benefit your game. So let's stick a driver in the bag. 2 clubs down. Now I'm going to look at our iron collection next because I think that determines how we're going to fill out the rest of our bag. And it's important to note that not every iron is equal. Sometimes there's a lot of different lofts out there. For example, I have a couple of clubs here. Here's the maltby STI2, and the pitching wedge is 44 degrees of loft. That's considered a modern loft or a strong loft, meaning it's a little bit lower than normal. Whereas here's another maltby club, the TE Forged, and the pitching wedge is 47 degrees. That's 3 degrees difference. That's almost a full club difference at the high end of the bag. So if you and your buddies are hitting different distances with different clubs, it could just be the loft. Another example, I've got a gap wedge here that is 48 degrees, and I've got a gap wedge here that's 52 degrees. That's a full 4 degrees difference. That's a full club, yet both clubs have a G on them. So it's good to research the lofts of your irons so you can better accommodate appropriate wedges and also the longer clubs in your bag. So I'm going to put a couple of sets of irons in these bags. I'm going to go 4 to gap wedge. All right, I've got those stronger lofted and steel shafted clubs in that bag. I'm going to put these more traditional lofted and graphite shaft clubs in this bag. We've got our irons in the bag, and I'm still not fully committed if I want the 4-iron in there or not. It might come out. But let's look at the higher lofted end of our bag for now and consider the wedges we'd like to put in there. Now remember, I pointed out the gap wedge in these stronger lofted clubs is 48 degrees. I like to have a good collection of wedges in my bag that are 4 degrees apart, and I'm a guy who likes to play the 60-degree wedge. So this is strange. I'm actually going to have 2 different gap wedges in the bag. So for this, I'm going to choose these Kirkland wedges. Love them, save some money, they play great. So I've got a gap wedge here that's 52 degrees. Even though I've already got a gap wedge that's 48 degrees, I've got that 4-degree separation. So I've got good gapping in my wedges. So that's going in the bag, as well as a 56-degree sand wedge and a 60-degree lob wedge. Those clubs are getting tight in there. Now for this bag, this gap wedge is 51 degrees. So I've got to consider, what do I want to do here to be able to fill out my wedges? I could put a 56-degree sand wedge and a 60-degree lob wedge in there, but I don't want that big of a gap. 51 degrees to 56, I would rather it be closer. I don't have a 55-degree wedge, but I do have 54 and 58-degree wedges. Not only that, because these are graphite shafted clubs, which means that they're generally a lot lighter than the steel shafted, I would like wedges that kind of have a consistent weight to them. So I actually built this 54-degree wedge and this 60 with graphite shafts to better match this set. So I'm going to put the 54 and the 58 in the bag. So now I've got these bags packed from 4-iron all the way up to my lob wedge, whether that's 60 or 58 degrees. There's 11 clubs in this bag, including the driver. There's 12 clubs in this bag. I only got 2 left here, 3 left here, so I need to make some choices. Now I'm going to look at this traditional lofted bag first. And you know what? Regular conditions, I think hybrids are a really good choice for amateur golfers. They're great out of the rough. They help you get the ball up in the air a little bit more. They're quite versatile. I'm actually going to take out the 4-iron. 4-irons are tough to hit for a lot of people. So I'm going to take that out and replace it with a 4 hybrid. So in swapping this out, I'm using a 4 hybrid that's relatively the same loft. This is about 24 to 25 degrees of loft. This is a 24 degree loft 4 hybrid. So it's going in the bag in place of the 4-iron. Now when considering loft at the longer end of the bag here, usually at the high end of the bag, clubs are about 4 degrees apart. As you get down to the lower end of the bag, they're usually about 3 degrees apart. Now that can change from brand to brand, but it's a general consideration. Now I like hybrids, so I'm going to actually put a 3 hybrid in the bag as well to kind of fill out the difference between that 4 hybrid and my woods that I'd like to put in. Again, I got to consider loft. Here's a maltby STH2 3 hybrid, and here's a Callaway Diablo Edge 3 hybrid. This is 21 degrees. This is 18 degrees. This is the same as my 5 wood. So that creates too big of a gap between this 3 hybrid and the 4 hybrid. So I'm going to use this Callaway 3 hybrid and pop it in the bag. Now coming back to the stronger lofted clubs, this 4-iron is about 22 degrees, meaning it's like a traditional 3-iron, and very similar to the 3 hybrid I had over here. So a couple options you might have is to replace that with a hybrid. Some folks really like to play their fairway woods, and a 7 wood is kind of a popular choice these days, and they usually are within 20 to 22 degrees. So they can kind of replace that 3-iron, 4-iron, 3 hybrid, 4 hybrid range if that's your thing. Now, let's say I was going to play in windy conditions. I'd like to hit some stingers and keep the ball low or have a little bit more workability. Now, I don't mind playing a 4-iron here and there. I'm going to leave that 4-iron in the bag. But at 22 degrees, I got to figure out what my next club is going to be. Now, for me, leaving that 4-iron in, I would like to have a hybrid in the bag just for hitting out of the rough, having some longer distances, being able to get it in the air a little bit. So I'm going to use this stronger lofted 3 hybrid we had, this 18 degree, and I'm going to stick it in the bag. Now I'm getting down to the nitty-gritty. I don't have too many options for clubs to put in the bag here. So I'm down to an 18 degree hybrid and I got my driver. I'd like something in between there, some sort of fairway wood, but I only have one option. Now I could put 3 wood in there, which are generally around 14 to 15 degrees, but a lot of amateurs really struggle hitting a 3 wood and getting enough loft to get it up in the air. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 4 wood in the bag. Now this is 16 degrees, it's pretty close to that hybrid, but they're 2 totally different clubs. And I think this will span the gap nicely between the driver and that hybrid. So it's going in the bag to give me another long club, another club off the tees. Hopefully I can go for some par 5s and 14 clubs. That bag is full. Now we're back to this set here. We've got 12 clubs in the bag. We're from the 3 hybrid all the way up, and we've got our driver in there. This gives me some nice options to put a couple of fairway woods in there. If you're confident hitting a 3 wood, perfect opportunity to put a 3 wood and a 5 wood in the bag. All right, I've got a couple of STF2 fairway woods here. The 5 wood is 18 degrees. The 3 wood is 15 degrees. That gives me some nice gapping between, my driver and up to my 3 hybrid. So they're going in the bag. There we go. We've got 14 clubs in each bag, and both have a different configuration that could play for different conditions, play for your own comfort and preference, but they were both well planned out to make sure that I have a consistent sort of spacing, what we call gapping, throughout the entire bag. Now these are just some examples that I wanted to present to you. How you coordinate your bag is really about your own preference and comfort with the clubs that you play. But if you're thinking about buying new clubs or planning a strategy for how you want to arrange your clubs for a certain course or certain weather conditions, these are some good considerations you can put into practice when you're filling out your bag. I hope that information helps you. If you're liking this content, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Greg's Golf Shack.